Dear laureates and finalists of the Daphne Caruana Galizia Prize for Journalism, dear colleagues, dear friends. 6 years ago, yesterday, Maltese investigative journalist Daphne Caruana Galizia was brutally assassinated for exposing high-level corruption and organized crime. They thought that a car bomb would silence her, but as we can see just by today, her voice lives on. It lives on in her family who fight every day for justice, in her sisters, Corinne Vella is about to arrive, who are present with us today, in her mother, who did not live to see justice for her daughter, in her father, who remains a bastion of fortitude and inspiration. It lives on in her colleagues and journalists and media professions, some from Malta I see in front of me, who are still targeted and harassed, but like Daphne refuse to give in. And her voice lives on in the work of this House. In this Daphne Caruana Galizia Prize for Journalism, which supports and promotes outstanding journalistic work guided by the very same values that Daphne always fought and stood for. Allow me to thank Vice President Pina Picerno for her work on this initiative, and First Vice President Otmar Karas and Member of the European Parliament David Casa for their efforts in establishing this award. Thank you also to my colleagues in the Bureau, Mark Angel, Dimitrios Papadimoulis and Heide Hautala for coming here. Special thanks also goes to our incredible staff, who I know have worked so hard on this event. The European Parliament will continue to stand by Daphne's family, on the side of truth seekers, on the side of justice, of independent journalism. We have demanded answers, we have scrutinized, and we have legislated. And we will continue to legislate to ensure that our Europe is a space where journalists are able to work free from fear, from harassment, from violence, from murder. The Media Freedom Act and the Anti-Slaps Directive, which I am proud to say were initiatives spearheaded by this Parliament, are currently being negotiated, and their adoption will allow journalists to do their work without having to fear financial or emotional ruin, or even worse, for their lives. And let me assure you of the European Parliament's and my own continued support on these laws. The commitment that we have is as personal as it is institutional. I grew up in Maltese politics, and it is hard to describe the influence that she had on our outlook. The entire country and beyond read her column and blog religiously. She made the corrupt, the crooked, and the mediocre tremble, and I can say she still does. She was a force of nature that you could rely on, because her pen was second to none. She could use the English language in a manner that could bring clarity to the most complex of situations. And as a politician, I could take difficult or even controversial decisions and hope that Daphne would back them up, and of course fear that she wouldn't. But when she thought you got it right, you had a safety net. It is what we could not give enough to her when she needed it the most. A lot of us still catch ourselves logging on to her blog or unconsciously asking what she would have thought about the impossible decisions that we have to take, what she would have written about the choices we sometimes have between bad and worse outcomes. So 6 years after her last blog post, that is the level of influence that she had, and she has still. I knew Daphne as more than the investigative journalist we often remember her as. I miss her humor, the amount of times she made me laugh out loud, the time she managed to articulate exactly what I was thinking, even if I couldn't. And I even miss her criticism. She has given us all a thicker skin and brought about higher standards, sometimes simply by pointing out what should have been obvious. So I miss her. I know so many people do too. And therefore today we can do our little bit to remember her in what has become an important day in the European Parliament's calendar. It will be the third time that we award the Daphne Caruana Galizia Prize for Journalism. Congratulations to all the laureates and the future winner. I know that you know the big void that you need to help fill, and this Parliament will help you do that. Thank you.